Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Vignette. Now, our topic today is why don't my images look the same when I look at the back of my camera? So what we want to do is I want to show you why your images don't look the same if you're shooting in RAW. If you're shooting in camera RAW, once the image comes into your computer, you're thinking to yourself, that's not what I saw when I took the photo and looked at the back of my camera. Let's dive right in. All right, so I would love to say that that this was the image that came out of the camera, but nope. It was this dull and not too exciting image. All right, and that's because I shot it in camera raw. So what camera raw is going to do is it's going to get the most amount of information for me that I can have in this picture for me to work with. If it processed and did what I just did here, well, if I decided to change something, then I'm stuck. I'm stuck with what I have. That's what a JPEG would do. So on the back of your camera, if you decide to add special treatments, different white balances, in fact, the Fuji camera I borrowed over the weekend, I didn't realize I had it in 16:9 ratio. Well, the raw file came out normal. The 16:9 or the JPEG came in cropped at 16:9. So there's a lot of positive reasons why you should shoot in RAW. Getting bright, sharp, beautiful photos like this right out of camera, it is not one of them, unfortunately. So let's dive right in on what I would do to fix this, all right? Well, I'm going to come in, start with bringing it back to normal. Now, normally I would start with a template. I want to show you how to bypass that for a moment. So here we are. We're going to go into the light tool here. So this is the old school of thinking, and you're so used to this already. So this is what we used to have. All right. So you can come in here and adjust your white balance until you get something that may or may not look good. All right. This isn't bad, but look what it's doing all back in here. So I want to change that back to as shot. So let's see, tungsten maybe? Okay, tungsten is getting closer, but it's still not there yet. Fluorescent, and then flash. All right, I'm going to stick with flash because that's what I used. Now I'm going to come down and I want to select a different camera profile. So I shot this with a Nikon D810. So I can come in here, okay, and I chose camera vivid. This is slowly getting better. Let's enrich the blacks quite a bit, and we'll pump up the whites. Shadow-wise, let's dial it up just a little, and then contrast, of course. Decide which way we want to go. I want to go to a positive value. All right. Now I'm going to look over here with temperature. I'm going to slide the temperature back before I get that cooling effect. All right, not bad. Before, after, not anywhere near where I want it to be, but this is a start. And then chances are I'd come over here and adjust my accent AI. All right. Now, I'm not liking this back in here. Not a problem. We'll fix that. And structure. Let's crank it all the way up. All right. So there we go. Let me get out of the way. All right. So we went from this to this. But that's not what I want. All right. So it looks good. I mean, it looks better. This looks a lot better than this right here. So how do we make a dull photo look its best? Here's the secret. I did start with a template. And I'm going to come over here. And the template I chose, let me come down here, was dark and rich. Now, typically, whenever I use somebody else's template, I'll put dark, whatever the name of the template is, I'll leave the name and then add to it. The reason for that is I want this template to teach me what did I do different. So once I click on this template, all the changes we made earlier are going to be replaced with this template. Look at that. Before, let's give it a second to finish. Before and after. So let's come over here and figure out what that template did differently than what I did in the very beginning. Enhance AI. So Accent AI always plays a key role in editing our images. Although this isn't a sky, look at this. It's going to mimic it and treat it like a sky because down here, it's acting as if that is a horizon. All right? So I'm going to crank that up even more. Now light. Yep, same thing I did. It brought the temperature down. So notice AI are applying the same tools I normally would start with, right? So this is going to give me like a jump start on what I'm doing. So I cranked down the temperature. Let's see what else it did. Increase the smart contrast. Now, same thing I did, negative value for the black. That's going to make the blacks just look richer and the whites differently. I increased the whites. Here, I like what they did. And they brought the whites down some. And this is where curves come in. So, for this deep, rich look, notice the curves. So instead of it being a straight line, here, they added some points to it and made the blues just look richer. Structure, now I'm going to change that and bring it to 100% just to see what it's doing. Oh, look at that. I'm going to keep it there. And now for color. All right, here we go. For vibrancy, -7. Now, when I saw this, I kept thinking, why minus? Typically, saturation is a global change. So that's going to make everything in the image, it's going to affect all the colors in the image equally. Vibrancy is only going to affect the muted colors. So here, they brought the muted colors down. Now, what would have happened if we applied a positive? Look how it's kind of, it's looking a little too saturated. So that minus value I felt was a good choice. All right. Details, of course. And notice, I personally prescribe to the arrowhead type approach to where I like applying medium details, large details, small, and in some cases, like in this, I wouldn't mind going to a negative value to make the fine details in here a little blurry. Denoise, of course, and then the vignette. And the vignette here, look what it's doing. You see how it's drawing attention right to the subject? And that's because we chose the subject, and then from here, adjusted the amounts. So the corners here are a little bit darker, but we're bringing light to the center. And I can always add more inner light here. All right? So those are the essential tools. So to make an image go from dull to this, you'll use the essential tools because the essential tools are just that. They're the base of your digital darkroom. These are the tools you need to process your image. Now, if you want to get creative, then you come down here to the creative tools. If this were a portrait, I come to the portrait tools. Now, one other thing, if you notice, For this particular image, color super contrast was used. Unlike the highlight filter, the highlight tool in the light tool, it only adjusts highlight on a global scale. Here, I could just work on the contrast of the highlights, the midtones, or the shadows. So, look at this, before, after. These, watch close again, before, here comes after. It doesn't seem like a lot, but did you notice how the colors shifted? All right, and in doing that, those little steps are adding to the overall image. And then last, color harmony. From here, look at this, before, oh, look at that after. How did we get it that way? If you start bringing the brilliance up to one side, to a positive value, try to bring the warmth down to a negative value. Because if I brought the warmth up this way, notice it's not giving the same, that look and feel, as this is giving me that blue I'm looking for, and same thing with the brilliance. If I go to a negative value, it looks dull. And too far here blows everything out. So I want to find a happy balance right about there. Good. And the rest of it was left alone. All right. So how to make dull, unflattering images look sharper? Start with the essential tools. From the essential tools, move on down here to the professional tool, super contrast. What that's going to do for you is it'll take just a base image like this and take it into something that you can start working with. So right from this point on, I can start experimenting and start adding more effects to it. In fact, let's do this. Let's come back here, and we'll go right to here. Good. Give it a second to refresh. There we are. All right. So now I just applied the template. Right here, dark and rich. And now we have to decide, how's it look? I mean, what else can I do other than erase these little blemishes? What else can we do to make this image really pop? Structure. In fact, let's go to 100. Good. Let's come back up to composition. Oh, wrong one. Light, rather. Under light, once it gets back to where we are, light, we're going to adjust the black point just enough to make it just a little richer. And I'll make all the colors just pop for us. 1 second. There we go. And once we have it set, that's what it looks like. Here we go. Before and after. All right. Now, by the way, next week, we will talk in depth more on how to actually get these shots, how to do the water droplets. But for now, we want to talk about how to edit it. All right. So now that I have this set adjustment, I can copy it. I'll come back to my catalog. And I have all of them set. So here are the ones I didn't adjust. So I'm going to select all of these. Right click, adjustment, and paste the adjustment that we just did on the other one. Look at this. And I mean, in no time at all, we went from dull, not too exciting photos, I mean, great content. I mean, these water droplets look absolutely amazing. But look at this. Just by doing the little extra, look how that changed. All right. Now, let me know in the comments, do you guys, do you work with water droplets? Let me know. And let me put the here. Welcome, everyone. Glad to see all of our friends. Yes, Wolfgang, not going to be a dull in here. Let's get right to the top. Hello from Long Island, Arizona. Let's see down here. Yes, we actually put a sky in here, James. And ironically, it worked. So we did we did add a sky to this earlier, and let's show it. There we go. We did add a sky to it. It looked pretty cool. It even had the reflection of the water, but it's not something that's it's designed to do. So I'm not going to show it yet. Maybe next week when we actually show you how we did the water droplets. All right? Awesome. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you have suggestions for future episodes, let us know, and we'll take those into consideration on our next coffee break. Well, I'm Vanelli. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.